Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. It is me, Kay, and I am here today to review Beyond the Gate Season 2, Episode 139. So Nicole, you had kind of got caught up in a little bit of a lie, ma'am. Carlton came and visited you at that office, girl, after we ain't seen him in 3 months of Sundays. And he was trying to, wine and dine you, take you to the club, get your little wine so you keep wine down from the work day and whatnot. And you told that man you need a rain check, sister. And while he had been away at Banneker Medical, whatever, because unbeknownst to us, we didn't know where Carlton had went. We didn't know if he was safe, if his family was doing good. We didn't know a thing. And so now we finding out months later that, he was at Banneker Medical Conference teaching his children about medicine and plastic surgery. And as soon as he get back, he come and see you. Knock on your door, girl. Say, what's tea, sis? I missed you. I love you. Let's go on a date. And you turn that man down and he need a rain check, girl. Then, just for Kyle to walk in 2 minutes later, and you was like, ooh, I'm exhausted. I'm so sorry to contribute to your exhaustion, Kyle, but I'm ready to, wrap this up and go back to the house and lay down. And then Kyle was talking about how exhausted he was, but he said he was going home because he needed to put pressure on Noah to get his own place. But no, you said, oh, well, I done got used to you being around. What's the rush in Noah finding his own place, huh? What's the rush in Noah finding his own place? So you was like, well, I got used to waking up to you, so I just think that I would like to continue to do that. And then here's Kyle. Well, I've gotten used to waking up to you too. And then y'all go out together, about to get on the elevator, and guess who Carlton came around that corner, girl. You got busted. Explain yourself. But I was like, ooh, poor Carlton. You know what? Carlton, you was wasting your time anyway, friend. You shouldn't have been trying to date your best friend / business partner wife anyway. It was a major conflict of interest. But the least Nicole could have done was being honest, because now she's walking in the lane of dishonesty. And you said that you was going to keep it a band with Kyle, and you was going to keep it a band with Carlton. But then when your other family members had said, oh, well, Nicole, it looked like you had chose already. And you keep saying you don't want to be exclusive with one guy. You don't want to be exclusive with one guy. But it looked like you picked your guy, sister. And when Carlton come back to that office that next day and knock on your door and bust your bubble, you're going to be feeling away. But I will be set for it just to see what goes on. Anywho's in next, Leslie. Eva takes Noah to Uptown to treat him to dinner for his first day. They said they had quite the riveting day. Leslie pops up because what else is Leslie good for? The one thing Leslie does well is pop up somewhere that she don't need to be, or she's not wanted or invited to. But she popped up and was like, well, as the manager and the owner of the Phoenix Street Clinic, and since Noah is having his dinner to celebrate his first day on the job, I think I ought to join you. So Eva was just trying to, get Leslie out the way, because she feels like her mama has been on her back like white on rice, trying to make sure that she's overly good. And Eva said that people trying to make sure that she's overly good is getting on her nerves. And I'm just like, Eva, I want to meet you halfway, sister, but seeing as though you almost left from here and went to your eternal home, I think that your mother only is within her right to make sure you good, because if she didn't, you would wonder why your mama didn't care. So I'm not going to fault Leslie this time. But, Leslie did say to Eva, well, I'm your mother, and seeing as though you almost perished, I'm well within my right to ask you how you are to make sure that you're good. And Eva keeps grabbing her side. So I'm like, girl, are you in pain? Yes or no? Do we need to go with you to Garland? Do we need to go with you to Garland? Are you all right? And so now we're starting to hear, Eva not wanting to be known as a transplant girl, or she doesn't want anybody to keep asking her, is she okay? Because she wants to return to normal. She said she done read every book and watched every streaming show that she could, and she wanted to feel useful. And going to the clinic today with Noah, showing him the ropes, going around with him, she said that she felt useful. So I'm just like, okay, you felt useful. Okay, but is you feeling useful more important than you healing properly and making sure that your well-being is intact? It is not. So my man Isaiah pops up, and I was so glad to see him because I'm just like, Saved by the Bell. But he overheard Eva saying, that she's tired of being treated like she's fragile. He was just like, well, I know you're tired of me. And then she was just like, no. And so basically, he takes her home or whatever because he feels like she needs to rest. There was a smidgen of a conversation. Where was Jacob and Isaiah at? I think they was at the country club. They bumped into each other at the country club. And so Jacob was checking on Isaiah to see how he was doing. And he was saying, he was going to check on Eva and all that. So now all of that has happened. Isaiah is now taking Eva back to her place. And Isaiah tells Jacob that he is taking his time with being intimate with Eva because he doesn't want to hurt her. He knows that she's still healing. But, it seems like he said that Eva was ready, but he necessarily wasn't. So I'm thinking now he has entered his readiness phase and he's going to see if Eva is down. So moving on, back to Leslie slightly before I go to my next topic, which is, what the whole show is about. I mean, this whole episode was about. Leslie, you down there at that uptown, at them people's uptown, running your mouth to Noah, telling him all that stuff. Noah's just sitting there gathering all this tea, and you telling him all this information about people. Where is the line between professional and familiar? Because on his first day, you should not be at uptown with him, telling him all about yo Anita and your trust and how Anita was a terrible person to your mama, all of that. He didn't know all of that. He didn't need to know all of that. You up there running your mouth for no reason. You said you was changed, and you up there running your mouth, bad-mouthing Nicole. You dang near bad-mouth Cat. Like, you bad-mouthing the Duprees. The Duprees, again, didn't do nothing to you. And I'm with her, slightly on the thing with her mama, and her mama deciding to lead this life and, giving her the peaches for her to raise. I understand that, it was hurtful to find out that Anita played a part in your mom and their relationship wasn't the best. I understand that. But I don't think that you needed to tell Noah that. It's not that I don't even think you shouldn't have told Noah that. That was none of his business, none of his concern. But you out here again tainting. And then you say you got a good knack for talent and that, Anita owes you a couple of favors. So if you ever want to help Noah get on, you're going to go and talk to Anita. Girl, you trying to get Anita to fuss you out, sister. And when she do it, I'm going to laugh. And I'm going to say, go ahead and get it, auntie, because Leslie overstepped her bounds more than enough. Whew. Okay, now for this whole Hayley debacle. Where do I even begin? The girls are still having a powwow at Naomi's apartment. It's Danny, it's Kat, Chelsea, and Naomi. They sitting around, trying to figure out how they're going to prove that Hayley is being unfaithful to Bill. Because right now, they are under the guise that Hayley is having an affair with Randy. I don't know how they're going to find out that Randy is Hayley's cousin and she's not having an affair. But they decide to put their heads together. What was that show when they say, put your heads together? Little Einsteins? I think it was Little Einsteins. Listen. They're going to put their heads together and try to figure it out. I'm trying to figure out how I best want to go about this. That's why I keep pausing, because I'm just like, they was all over the place. And not to say that they was being delusional, but they was taking what they thought they knew. You know, they've been seeing her around town multiple times with Randy. Randy was supposed to be the guy who saved her after she had her miscarriage. Naomi knows that she faked her miscarriage and she faked her ultrasound, but Danny did not. I mean, not Danny. Naomi did not tell Danny that. She told Kat and Chelsea that, but she didn't tell Danny that. So they're all trying to figure it out. So come to find out, we found out that when Bill drew up Naomi's marriage papers, that there was a morality clause, in the paperwork that says if Jacob was caught being unfaithful, he is getting nothing. He's entitled to nothing when he leaves the marriage. So they wanted to know if Bill had included that same clause in his paperwork. So Naomi left the girls at her apartment and went down to the law offices of Bill and Associates. And she decided that she was going to go in her office because Bill was supposed to be working from home for the day. That she was going to go in there and try to see if she could pull up his paperwork on his computer. In the midst of her doing that, Tomas walks in. And here go Tomas giving Naomi the third degree. And I'm just like, Tomas, you just got back from the People's Puerto Rico. You just got back from Puerto Rico visiting your familia. And you are causing drama. Naomi said right then and there, listen, Tomas, I'm not trying to take your place. I don't want to work for Bill and Associates. So you can let up on the third degree because I'm not here to take your spot. And she basically told Tomas that she was there to pull up paperwork for Madison's case. But of course, Tomas didn't believe her because Tomas thinks that nepotism is working against him. And should Tomas be concerned? Slightly. But I feel like at this point, Tomas is overstepping. Because every single thing she does, he's like, well, what you doing? And I'm just like, Tomas, everything don't concern you. Like, when it needs to concern you, Bill will let you know, gang. You don't got to do all this stuff. Like, and you fighting a battle that you not going to win because any event that Bill perishes, all that belongs to Hayley. So if that's going to be your future boss, you need to be treading lightly, sir. Just saying. But, you know, that's neither here nor there. And so, because Naomi doesn't find what she's looking for, she goes back home. While the girls at her apartment, Jacob comes home, and Jacob sees that Kat and Danny and Chelsea are all sitting in the room, and he's like, well, what did I walk in on? Excuse me, hey, what's up? Not that I'm not glad to see y'all, but what y'all doing here? And so they always like, what's up? You gonna kick us out? And he was like, no, I'm not here to kick y'all out, but I'm just wondering what's going on because y'all sitting here like y'all ready to go and y'all trying to crack a case. So I'm trying to figure out what's going on. And so I think Kat, you know, Jacob knows that Kat once she put her Inspector Gadget cat hat on, it ain't nothing that you can tell her. And then, of course, you know, he don't want Danny to be involved in nothing because he don't want to arrest Danny no more. And then there's Chelsea, the innocent one. So he was just like, you know, Tomas ends up calling Kat. Kat leaves. Danny ends up leaving. Chelsea is still there. He looks at Chelsea. He was just like, well, you better tell me what's going on now, because you know once your sister get back, she's going to tell me anyway. So basically, Chelsea fills in Jacob and tells Jacob about how they think that Hayley is not doing what she's supposed to be doing for Bill. And so then Hayley leaves. First, once Kat gets to Bill and Associates, she bumps in Caroline and says that Caroline's going to Uptown. So she texts Chelsea and says, Caroline is going to Uptown. This is your chance to, do. See, so I'm just like, all of them had a job. Naomi done went down to the office to try to look at the paperwork. Kat done went to the office to visit Tomas. But, she tells Chelsea while she's there to catch Caroline at Uptown. And so Chelsea leaves Jacob and goes to Uptown. And so by the time Naomi get back to the apartment, Jacob was like, your sisters and your aunt and your cousin, they was in here looking like the Dora Milaje, and I was just like, what's going on? And she was just like, well, we think that Hayley is cheating on Pops or whatever. And so she was just like, we need to prove to him, if this is going down, we need to be able to have all the evidence and all the facts to back it up, because he not just going to up and leave Hayley. So then she also says that she feels guilty because she was the reason why Hayley was able to infiltrate her mom and her dad's marriage. And I was just like, well, out of all the facts, at least you do know that you was the gateway to Hayley prying in. Now I can't wait till they figure out that it wasn't that Hayley was trying to take your daddy because she thought he was fine and that, she wanted to steal him from your mama. He was a target. Bill was targeted because he has money, and she was going to be the next widow for Bill because she's done this before with other men. And so it's just like, okay, well, she tells Jacob, that multiple people have seen Hayley around town with Randy, and Randy works for Joey. And so Jacob was like, let's compare notes. And she was like, really? And he was like, yes, let's get down to business. Yes, because we got to figure this out. And so now that they got Jacob involved, I'm just like, wow, it's a whole lot going on. And so meanwhile, Bill and Hayley are at the country club, I guess for a cocktail hour, and Bill is still having the tremors, but he talks to Hayley. Well, Hayley and him talk about her going to meet the girls, to apologize. And she said, well, now that I went and did that for you, I want you to do something for me. And then she was like, I want you to book a flight to St Barths. So she's still on her thing trying to get him off the course and get him to St Barths, because she trying to put the nail in the coffin literally on Bill. But Bill tells her that he comes clean to Hayley, and he was just like, he has been experiencing health issues and he's afraid to leave the DMV right now because he don't want to get that far and then something happen and then it'd be too late. He can't get to his family and his family can't get to him. So he told her that he collapsed. He told her that he's still been having tremors. And since Madison and them couldn't find nothing, wrong with him, he's been going back and forth on whether he wants to go back to the hospital and whatnot. So then she was just like, oh, well, maybe we don't have to go to St. Barths no more. Maybe we can go to, I think she said Highland Beach. And so he was just like, are you trying to get another beach house? She was like, or something like that. And she was like, well, I guess that's a beach that you ain't never been, or you ain't never shared at home with Danny or something like that. And I'm just like, Lord, here we go again. So basically she was just trying to guilt Bill basically and trying to bait him into getting to Highland Beach since it's closer. And he agrees to go, but I don't know exactly if they agreed on to how soon they would be going. But then Danny pops up, at the table because she is looking for Hayley because she wanted to know where her glasses at just for her to get to the table. And Hayley broke them glasses and them glasses is broke. She tells Hayley, Bill tries to offer to pay for her glasses. Bill just wanted peace. He offered to compensate Danny for the shades. She said, I don't need you to buy me nothing, but I do need little Miss Hayley to know that the Dupree women ain't going nowhere. And by Dupree women, Danny, ain't going nowhere. In the words of Speedy, what had you meant by that? What exactly had you mean? What did you mean by that? What had you meant by that? Because by Dupree women, are you saying, because Danny is really putting her claws in, and I'm just like, girl, I get what you're saying, and I get your sentiment, but where is Andre at? Where's Andre at? Because once Andre finds out all of this, I'm ready to see how he gonna feel about it. Because he probably gonna be wondering why Danny's so concerned about what's going on with Bill and Hayley. And it's just like, okay, well, now that you in on trying to prove that Hayley is doing something shiesty, does this mean that if you prove it's right, you won't Bill back? Because I'm trying to figure out what exactly it is the motive. Like, I understand these are this is the father of your children, right? But they real grown. And they got cats, so they don't necessarily need you to be helping them crack the code on what Hayley got going on, sister. You can just stand on the side and stand by and get the tea. You don't really got to be involved. And speaking of tea, Kat asked Tomas, the whole thing about about Naomi. And, Tomas was telling Kat that, to me, he views Naomi as a threat. And he tried to tell Kat, that he don't view Naomi like that. And Kat is trying to stay neutral because at the end of the day, we already know Kat gonna pick her cousin over Tomas any day. But it's just the fact that the answers and the rebuttals that Tomas was giving, I was like, Basura, throw him out. He's trash. Like, Kat, I just want you to wake up. Like, Tomas is not good for you. Y'all not good for each other. They agree not to speak about moving, speak about living together, speak about none of that, because they say it starts arguments. But I'm just like, we are prolonging something that I need them to be done. I just need for them to be done. I need for them to be done. And then, anyway, Kat tells Tomas what's going on. And Tomas, plays into it for a little bit, but then he's like, no, Bill is my boss. And he was just like, I don't want to be involved. I need to be far enough to where I can claim plausible deniability, and, he wants no parts. And so Kat is just like, well, you're right. You made some points. I won't bring it back up again. Chelsea is at Uptown having a talk with Caroline, and she basically, we find out that Hayley and Caroline ain't even cool no more. They don't kick it, they don't skate with each other no more. And and Caroline's just like, well, I be on my own. And so Chelsea, kind of played into that and was just like, well, I care about my father and I care about what he got going on. And so if you see anything shiesty going on at the law offices of Bill, girl, let me know. And I'm going, keep a tab on that and run it up, because we feel like Hayley's doing something trifling with my father. And now that she don't hang around you no more, who she hanging around? Caroline ain't had no answer. And Caroline was just like, girl, why you want to know? She was like, because I care about my father, and he's been going through health situations, and I need to know if his wife is around or not, because we don't need him to be passed out nowhere, perished and gone to the afterlife, and she ain't nowhere to be found. Hayley, you will be busted. It's only a matter of time. It is only a matter of time. Lastly, I forgot. Did I mention it? If I did, I'm gonna go back and mention it anyway. Isaiah and Eva. Once Isaiah and Eva get back to Eva's apartment, they have a conversation, and come to find out, Eva says she does not want her whole identity to be wrapped up in being a transplant girl. She says that, there's a couple times when her and Isaiah try to be, intimate, and Isaiah touches her and she gets, she pulls back, and then she finally just comes out and tells Isaiah that she's embarrassed by her scar. She thinks it's ugly. She doesn't want it to be a reminder of like what happened to her. And then on the flip side, Isaiah, being a good guy that he is, he tells her that, girl, this is a battle wound, girl. This is part of your story. I don't care what kind of mark you got on your body. You are still here for me to even touch you. let alone have this conversation with you. So I love every part of you. I don't care nothing about a scar. It's not a blemish. It's a part of your story. It's part of the reason why you're a miracle. And she was just like, I didn't think about it like that. And so then he started like kissing her again, and then she kind of sat back and tried to be comfortable with it, but I still felt that she was uncomfortable with it. But hopefully, you know, if she's having complications or if she's starting to have issues with the the transplant, hopefully we figure out what's going on before, you know, it worsens. But yeah, I think I covered everything from this episode. This was another good episode. I know yesterday's episode was juicy and full of like tasty tidbits, but this one, you know, just added on top of, you know, what exactly is going on, and the plot is starting to thickening, and we starting to get some action with this thing that we're baking, And so I'm just like, yes, finally. I didn't know what's going on. And I think in today's episode, Andre is supposed to get busted. So I think we're going to find out his secret today on episode 140. So yeah, y'all, like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. Monday and Tuesday's review is already live on my channel. Click my Beyond the Gates playlist to catch up. Let me know what you think about the episodes. Also, I have an All-American and Shy Season 8 playlist. If you catching up on those, check those out as well. I will be back with more. Deuces.